Some endings don't just finish a movie, they flip the table, torch the rulebook, and leave audiences shell-shocked for decades. These are the films that made Quentin Tarantino sit up and whisper, "Now that's how you end a movie. You think you've seen a twist? Think again." Have you ever watched credits roll and wondered if your entire idea of cinema just changed forever? Stay tuned, because we're about to count down the 21 movie endings from the 1970s that Tarantino says redefined what final scenes could do. Taxi Driver, 1976. No ending from the 1970s keeps viewers arguing quite like Taxi Driver. Martin Scorsese takes you on a ride through New York's filth and fury, then upends all expectations. Travis Bickle, a man so raw he might as well be a live wire, blazes through a blood-soaked rampage that leaves the audience reeling. But the real shock comes after the violence. Travis is suddenly a hero, the city's latest tabloid darling. Scorsese wraps it up with a cab ride that's all ambiguity, a glance in the mirror, a sting from the score, and the uncomfortable sense that nothing's truly been fixed. Is Travis redeemed, or is he ready to snap again? Tarantino calls this a masterpiece of ambiguity because the film refuses closure, leaving you haunted by what might come next. Taxi Driver's ending is more than a finale. It's a warning, a lingering pulse that refuses to die. Chinatown, 1974. Chinatown's ending is pure, gut-wrenching Hollywood tragedy. Jake Gittes spends the film fighting to pull back the layers of corruption, convinced that justice is possible. But as the dust settles, that hope is snuffed out with the immortal line, "Forget it, Jake. It's Chinatown." The villain escapes, innocence is obliterated, and power wins without remorse. There's no heroic last stand or redemptive twist, just a city that devours anyone who dares to care. Tarantino has always championed this ending for smashing convention, transforming classic noir into a slow-motion disaster with no survivors. You walk out reeling, your faith in happy endings shattered, and the world suddenly colder. Chinatown's finale doesn't comfort, it bruises, sticking with you like a bad dream. It leaves you questioning whether justice ever stood a chance, or if hope itself is just another casualty. That's why it's legendary. Evil sometimes wins, and that's the only answer you get. Carrie, 1976. Brian De Palma's Carrie changed the rules for horror endings forever. After a prom night drowned in humiliation and terror, it seems Carrie's torment is finally over. But just as the audience relaxes, De Palma unleashes one of the most iconic jump scares in cinema. A hand bursting from the grave, grabbing Sue and sending viewers screaming. Tarantino loves how this finale does more than end the story. It leaves a permanent mark. It's not just about a supernatural jolt, but a reminder that trauma never disappears. It lurks and can erupt at any time. Even in death, Carrie's suffering isn't finished. Her pain grabs you as the credits roll. De Palma doesn't let the horror fade. He makes sure it explodes into your memory, daring you to ever feel safe again. It's the kind of ending that sticks, haunting you long after the lights come up, because, as both De Palma and Tarantino know, true horror never truly ends. The Godfather, 1972. Coppola's The Godfather delivers an ending as cold and silent as the grave. Michael Corleone, once the reluctant outsider, stands fully transformed as the new Don, sealing his fate with the quiet, deliberate closing of a door. In that moment, Kay is locked out, literally and emotionally, realizing she's lost Michael to a world she can never enter. The final shots are loaded with tension, no words spoken, just the heavy presence of power and isolation. Tarantino calls this the coolest, coldest ending in film history, and it's easy to see why. There's no comforting speech or redemption, just the suffocating certainty that Michael's rise comes at the expense of everything and everyone else. The room darkens, hope evaporates, and you're left complicit in his transformation. The Godfather's finale doesn't shout, it chills, leaving you stunned by what's been gained and what's been lost. That's why it still resonates. It's an ending you never forget. One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, 1975. One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest ends not with fanfare, but with a quiet act of rebellion that echoes louder than any speech. Randall McMurphy's tragic fate is devastating, but it's Chief Bromden's silent escape that delivers the film's final blow. When Chief hurls the control panel through the asylum window and disappears into the night, it's an act of defiance against a world determined to break him. There are no rousing words or triumphal music, just freedom, seized at a staggering cost. Tarantino admires this ending for its refusal to chase easy victory. There's no grand win, just the bittersweet satisfaction of escape mixed with profound loss. The film closes on dignity and sacrifice, refusing to comfort the audience, but instead leaving you uplifted and aching all at once. Few endings celebrate individuality and the price of freedom this quietly or this powerfully. It's a finale that lingers, inviting reflection long after the credits fade. Don't Look Now, 1973. Few endings are as merciless as Don't Look Now. Donald Sutherland's character, John, chases visions through Venice's foggy labyrinth, convinced he's found a sign from his lost daughter. Instead, the film delivers a twist so savage it rattles even seasoned horror fans. The red-coated figure he pursues is not salvation, but his undoing. Reality snaps, and everything falls apart. Roeg's slow-motion finale doesn't give you time to breathe. The shock lands with brutal clarity, and suddenly, every eerie moment before it makes chilling sense. Tarantino is obsessed with how this ending haunts you, reframing the entire film in a split second. It's not just the loss, it's the knowledge that grief can blind, trap, and destroy. Don't Look Now is unforgettable because it punishes hope and makes you question every clue you thought you understood. Rocky, 1976. Rocky delivers one of cinema's greatest fake-outs, a sports movie where the underdog loses the fight but wins everything that matters. As the final bell rings, Rocky is bloodied and battered, but when he calls out for Adrian amid the chaos, the noise of the crowd and even the outcome of the fight disappear. What remains is pure, raw emotion. Stallone's performance transforms defeat into triumph, showing that dignity, love, and resilience matter more than any championship belt. Tarantino praises this ending for how it turns the whole genre upside down, focusing on the fight itself rather than the prize. The credits roll not on a winner, but on two people who survived together, changed forever by the struggle. It's powerful because it says, the real victory is simply giving it your all and having someone by your side when it's over. Rocky's ending lingers because it's about heart, not scorecards, and sometimes that's the real win. Sorcerer, 1977. Sorcerer is a masterclass in tension, and its ending leaves you dangling over the abyss. After a harrowing trek through jungles and across collapsing bridges, Roy Scheider's character finally delivers the volatile dynamite, battered but alive. But Friedkin doesn't offer safety or solace. Instead, there's a chilling, existential gut punch. Relief is fleeting. A sense of doom settles as another truck arrives, hinting that the deadly cycle is about to begin again. Tarantino hails Sorcerer as a masterpiece of suspense and nihilism for exactly this reason. The ending offers no comfort, only the cold truth that fate is indifferent and survival just means the next ordeal is waiting. There's no grand victory, only the realization that sometimes getting out alive is just the start of more hardship. When the credits roll, your nerves are still frayed, your mind racing. Sorcerer's finale doesn't settle, it keeps you anxious, questioning whether escape is ever really possible. The Parallax View, 1974. Alan J. Pakula's The Parallax View delivers one of the bleakest finales in 1970s cinema. Reporter Joe Frady digs too deep into a shadowy organization and pays the ultimate price for his curiosity. There's no last-minute rescue or heroic revelation. Instead, Frady is quietly eliminated, his investigation erased by cold, faceless bureaucracy. The closing scenes are ice-cold, truth buried, the official story stamped, and another idealist wiped from the record without a ripple. Tarantino singles out this ending for its chilling detachment, calling it a masterclass in how power crushes dissent and rewrites history. There's no catharsis, no hope, just a sense of futility as the credits roll. The Parallax View doesn't comfort, It leaves you numb, staring at the screen and wondering if justice ever had a chance. It's a finale that echoes in the real world, daring you to believe that anything can change when the machinery of control is this relentless. Dog Day Afternoon, 1975. Dog Day Afternoon is a heist film that trades triumph for heartbreak. Sonny, played by Al Pacino, isn't just robbing a bank. He's chasing something pure, a better life, maybe even redemption. But nothing goes right. The escape falls apart, betrayal strikes, and dreams collapse under the harsh spotlight. The final scene is all flashing lights, sirens, and broken promises. No heroic last stand, just Sonny's exhausted, haunted face as he's led away in defeat. The crowd melts back into the city, and life moves on without a pause. Tarantino admires this sour, angry ending because it's unflinching. There are no Hollywood victories here, only the ache of hope lost. By the time the credits roll, you feel the weight of a story that refuses to comfort you. It lingers, brave enough to leave you hurting, and that's the kind of ending Tarantino respects most, the ones that won't let you forget. Five Easy Pieces, 1970. Few endings are as quietly devastating as Five Easy Pieces. Jack Nicholson's Bobby is a wanderer, drifting through life, avoiding commitment and connection at every turn. In the final moments, he doesn't find redemption or reunion. He just slips away. Bobby hitches a ride north, leaving his girlfriend at a lonely gas station, disappearing into the cold unknown. There's no dramatic goodbye, no answers, just the hum of the truck and the endless road ahead. Tarantino calls this existential perfection, admiring how the film ends, not with resolution, but with a profound ache. The closing shot isn't about finding a place to belong, it's about the pain of never belonging at all. It lingers long after the credits, a haunting reminder that some journeys are meant to be unfinished, and some escapes are simply the only way a lost soul can keep moving. It's an ending that's less about closure and more about the cost of freedom. Maze H, 1970. MASH ends with chaos, irreverence, and a total lack of closure. The surgeons and oddballs of the 477th don't get a tearful send-off or any big life lessons, just wisecracks as they pack up and move to the next round of madness. The war keeps grinding, choppers come and go, and absurdity rules. Altman's finale is legendary because it gives no redemption and no comfort, just a sense that insanity is the norm. Tarantino loves how MASH refuses sentiment or neat endings, embracing the endless cycle of survival and laughter as coping mechanisms. There's no big speech, just the dull roar of routine, as if the battle will outlast everyone involved. That's exactly why it works. The ending captures the exhaustion and absurdity of war, leaving you feeling both entertained and unsettled. When the credits roll, you realize some battles are never really over, and sometimes the best you can do is laugh and move on. Halloween, 1978. John Carpenter's Halloween delivers a finale that chills you to the bone. Laurie survives the nightmare, but Michael Myers, unstoppable, faceless evil, simply vanishes. The camera drifts through empty rooms and moonlit lawns, each space haunted by his breathing, hinting that evil could be anywhere. Tarantino calls this the greatest open-ended horror finish ever put on film. There's no relief, no explanation, just a relentless uncertainty. Is the terror over, or is Michael still lurking, waiting to strike again? The ordinary world feels permanently transformed, every shadow a threat, every sound a warning. Carpenter doesn't just scare you with what's on screen, he unnerves you with what's left unseen. The ending set the blueprint for countless slashers, not by resolving the horror, but by refusing to let it end. You walk away uneasy, your imagination running wild, always checking the darkness. Halloween's genius is that it lets your mind do the scaring long after the credits roll. The French Connection, 1971. The French Connection ends with more questions than answers. Popeye Doyle's relentless pursuit of the drug kingpin doesn't climax with justice, but with a burst of chaos and an unsettling lack of closure. The final scenes spiral into confusion. A shot in the darkness, suspects slipping away, Doyle left wandering through shadows, obsessed and unsatisfied. Friedkin's abrupt finish is famous for shattering expectations. No big arrest, no clean wrap-up, just the grinding machinery of crime still turning. Tarantino calls this the original anti-resolution, admiring its bold refusal to reward the hero or comfort the audience. The city remains as gritty and unforgiving as ever, and Doyle is left chasing ghosts. It's an ending that lingers precisely because it doesn't settle. The story finishes, but nothing truly feels resolved. That uncertainty keeps viewers returning, still searching for answers in the dark, proof that sometimes the greatest impact comes from the endings that refuse to end. The Long Goodbye, 1973. Robert Altman's The Long Goodbye completely rewrites the rules of film noir. Elliot Gould's Philip Marlowe is not the classic tough guy detective. Instead, he's disheveled, wisecracking, and increasingly disillusioned. As Marlowe uncovers layer after layer of betrayal, he finally snaps, delivering justice in a single, shocking moment. No warnings, no speeches, just a sudden, decisive shot and an irreverent stroll into the sunlight. Tarantino is wild about how this ending torches all the genre's expectations. There's no grand victory, just Marlowe's smirk, and a Hollywood that couldn't care less. The film ends as both a sly joke and a sad commentary, Hollywood poking fun at itself while acknowledging that nothing ever really changes. The credits roll as Marlowe struts away, the world unmoved, leaving you with a riddle that refuses to be solved. The Long Goodbye's ending is legendary because it laughs at neat resolutions and dares you to find your own meaning in the mess. Rolling Thunder, 1977. Rolling Thunder's ending is pure, relentless vengeance with a chilling aftertaste. Major Charles Raine comes home from war only to find his family and peace destroyed. What follows is a slow, methodical march toward one of cinema's most savage showdowns. Ronne, sporting his unforgettable hook hand, teams up with a fellow survivor and storms a border brothel, unleashing violence that feels both cathartic and deeply unsettling. Tarantino calls this the greatest savage revenge flick ever made, not just for its brutal action, but because it paints justice in bleak, ambiguous colors. There's no real triumph here, just a heavy, echoing silence when the guns fall quiet. The final moments linger, loaded with the sense that justice, when it comes, isn't always healing. Tarantino loves how Rolling Thunder's ending forces you to wrestle with vengeance long after the credits. It's a finale that sticks in your mind for weeks, challenging you to ask what revenge really costs and whether it's ever enough. Deep Red, 1975. Dario Argento's Deep Red ends in a frenzy of sensation, music pounding, colors slashing across the screen, and the truth hitting like a shockwave. Jazz pianist Marcus finally unmasks the killer, but the reveal is anything but tidy. The violence is surreal, the terror ramped up to the breaking point, every shot dialed to 11. Tarantino is captivated by how Deep Red never lets the audience breathe. Even once the mystery unravels, Argento keeps the tension wired tight. Chaos lingers, reality feels unstable, and every image leaves you guessing. The finale isn't about wrapping up the story with a bow. It's about pushing your nerves until they spark. The last moments blur what's real and what's nightmare, refusing to settle for comfort or clarity. Tarantino calls it unforgettable for a reason. Deep Red's ending sets your senses ablaze, daring you to look away but making sure you can't. It's a curtain drop that never truly falls. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre, 1974. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre is infamous for an ending that doesn't let you escape. Sally bursts free from Leatherface's farmhouse, hysterical and bloodied, barely making it into the back of a passing truck as Leatherface whirls and shrieks in the rising sun. Relief and trauma crash together on Sally's face. She's alive, but you can see the terror isn't over. Tarantino calls this pure horror chaos, the ultimate anti-resolution. Evil isn't punished, order isn't restored. The world keeps spinning while two lives are changed forever by unspeakable terror. There's no comfort, just daylight that suddenly feels colder and more dangerous than the night. The credits roll, and you realize you're still holding your breath. This ending redefined what horror could be: messy, relentless, and unshakable. It's a finale that won't let you sleep, forever burning itself into your memory and daring every filmmaker after to do better. The Bad News Bears, 1976. Who says losing isn't winning? The Bad News Bears end their big game just shy of victory, but the finale is pure, rowdy celebration. The kids sling insults and drinks, and Coach Buttermaker lets them savor it all: the chaos, the fun, the realness. Tarantino adores this glorious middle finger to family movie cliches. There's no sappy speech, no forced lesson, just a ragtag team refusing to play by anyone's rules but their own. The magic isn't in the trophy, it's in their freedom to define what matters, to turn defeat into a wild, memorable moment. The final scenes erupt with laughter and anarchy, showing that real triumph comes from sticking together and embracing your own kind of crazy. The Bad News Bears closes not with closure, but with defiance, and that's why the ending lingers. It's legendary because it's honest, unfiltered, and refuses to apologize for breaking the mold. Apocalypse Now, 1979. Coppola's Apocalypse now ends like a fever dream that refuses to let go. Captain Willard finally reaches Kurtz's jungle compound. But the climax isn't a clean-cut battle. It's a mesmerizing, surreal dance of ritual and violence. The chaos of war doesn't resolve. Instead, it thickens around Willard as he faces Kurtz's haunting final words. The horror. Those words echo long after Kurtz is gone, and as the jungle seems to swallow everything, Willard's own fate feels just as uncertain. Tarantino calls this ending cosmic and unforgettable, and it's easy to see why. You're left wondering if the true darkness lies in the jungle or inside yourself. There's no sense of victory or peace, just a heavy, lingering ambiguity, a journey with no clear end. When the credits roll, you're not sure if you've escaped the nightmare or if you're still drifting, lost somewhere on that haunted river. Network, 1976. Network's ending is a satirical gut punch that still feels dangerous today. In a cold, calculated move, the network arranges the on-air assassination of its own anchor, an act broadcast live, then instantly shrugged off as the show pivots back to regular programming. There's no reckoning, no pause for outrage, just a bump in ratings and a world eager to move on. Tarantino hails this as the sickest, darkest joke ever played on an audience. What's terrifying is how prophetic it is. Tragedy is consumed and discarded. News is just another product to be sold, and nobody blinks. By the time the credits roll, you're left unsettled, realizing that society hasn't changed as much as we'd like to think. Network doesn't just end. It throws a spotlight on our willingness to watch horror, laugh, and then turn the channel. It's a finale that dares you to look away, knowing you probably won't. And there you have it, 21 movie endings from the 1970s that didn't just close a story, they blew the doors off what audiences thought was possible. Tarantino's favorites are the ones that haunt you, challenge you, and sometimes leave you reeling in the dark. Which finale hit you hardest? Drop your thoughts below, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and share if you crave more cinematic deep dives. This list barely scratches the surface. What legendary ending should we tackle next? Your move.